Hello everyone and welcome back to Star Wars The Force Unleashed on Steam. I am One Wild Sheep yet again, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be doing the Jedi Temple side mission thingy the DLC mission. And this was a DLC mission that I think should have probably been in the final main game. They probably cut it out or something, I'm guessing, because it explains about Starkiller getting into the whole Jedi thing. But I'll leave you guys with the story. I'm not going to explain the story to you. You're not idiots. I mean, yeah, you're probably not idiots. I don't know most of you, but you're probably not idiots. I'd like to think so. But I digress.
Roxy, I can already sense them, but this is the only place that I can find out more about my father.
Okay, just to start things off, I want to complain about one thing. Whoever designs the audio for this game should be shot, because I couldn't hear anything that Proxy was saying over the sound of the airships in the background. I mean, it's realistic, obviously, because they're loud. They're flying plane boat vehicles. You would expect them to be pretty loud, but in terms of games, come on, I need to hear the plot. It's lucky I had the subtitles on. But I digress. Anyway, for this mission by here, pretty much all the enemies we're going to be running into are the usual Stormtrooper variety, because they've all pretty much occupied this Jedi temple here. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we're on the temple on Coruscant, and if anyone's watched the original, well, not the original, the second trilogy of movies, which takes place before the original trilogy of movies. Basically, if people have seen episode 1 to 3 of Star Wars, you'll know this place because, well, this is where the Jedi train. This is where, this is where things start, basically. But yeah, I digress. Anyway, like I said, most of the mooks are stormtroopers, and they're the same types we've ran into at this point already. And for some reason, they give you quite a beefed out version of Starkiller to use. So you don't really have to worry too much about being killed by these goons. Just be careful, block when you need to, electrocute everything when you need to, because just like in the main game, electricity attacks are broken beyond belief. And I'm surprised I don't use throwing so much in this game, picking people up and throw them off the enemies, because I don't know, it's useful. I just never bothered to do it in this LP as much as I normally would. Because normally I like to snipe people using each other, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway, to open up the gateway by here, just basically open up these two lightsaber statues by grabbing hold of them using your force powers, and we'll gain entry.
The holocron is on the other side of the entry hall. If the path is blocked, you'll need to find a way to clear it.
And trust me, this mission can be quite... It's not the best mission in the game. I'm gonna be perfectly honest, it's pretty tedious to get through, and it's primarily because of the way it's designed. But, well, I say it's primarily because of the way it's designed. I guess it just goes on longer than it needs to. This mission really outstays its welcome. Especially if you do something like I do, where I'll talk about that when I get to it, because there's this one part of the mission where I spent a lot longer than I really needed to, just because I was an idiot and I didn't realize what I had to do. So yeah, this mission's a lengthy one. Like, this entire part is just this mission, ladies and gentlemen. That's all there is. That's all she wrote. So yeah, I guess. But anyway, they do like to be obnoxious about the types of enemies they throw at you. They try to throw the most annoying enemies in the game at you all at once, especially in this room in particular. I've died so many times in this room because I kept getting caught off guard by enemies, and I don't know. Although I'm not doing too bad a job here, which is surprising, because when I did initially play this game, I don't know, I found this DLC to be so difficult in comparison to the rest of the game. It's quite weird, actually. But one of the best things I love about this particular DLC mission is all the statues and stuff you can just flat out destroy, because you use force push and pretty much the entire environment around you crumbles beyond your power, you know. It makes me so happy. It makes me feel tingly inside. But seriously, the time has not aged this temple very well, has it? Alright, here we go, this training chamber, this is what I'm talking about. Basically, you got a lot of training droids coming at you. And now training droids, well, they're actually a lot stronger than most enemy types in the game, even though they all use Proxy's character model. And essentially what's going to happen is they're going to basically hound you, they're going to dogpile you. So what you're going to want to do is actually try and get them off your back as much as you can. And you see the glowy lights that are sort of around the arena? What you're going to want to do is actually electrocute these glowy lights. And doing so will stop the droids from spawning, because these droids will infinitely respawn. There is an infinite number of these guys. So, yeah, this mission... It honestly... It bugs me. It really bugs me. It can take a long time. Just either getting them out of the way, you know, getting the droids out of the way, or being stupid like I am and not realizing, I should electrocute this thing. There you go. Actually, no, yeah, I said my information wrong. Sorry. I always forget. The yellow lights cause a force field to happen. There we go. But there is one thing you do need to electrocute, and it is on the second floor. So yeah, there we go. I might get my wires crossed every now and then, but for the most part, my information I give you are still things you're gonna want to do anyway. So yay me. But anyway, see this big red thing? Yeah, me neither, apparently. Go to the red. You just locked onto it. Left past me. Oh my god. It's so frustrating watching yourself in playback and realizing you did something stupid. Now, normally I would have cut this out. I don't know why I didn't. It's not like I was too lazy to, because I've done editing in this part. I think I cut out quite a bit in this mission, and it's still on half hour, so... I don't know. But eventually you'll get the idea anyway. It's just a matter of trial and error, because you can't bust through the door straight away, as I clearly demonstrated. And these things are glowing blue. Come on, it's glowing, for Christ's sake. Electrocute. There we go. I've got the idea now. So electrocute these things, and it'll stop some of the enemies spawning. And now see that giant glowing blue statue? We also need to destroy that, and once that's destroyed, the pathway should completely open up. I hope. Like I said, I always have issues with this mission. I can't even tell you if my information I'm giving you is 100% correct, because going by memory, I'm not sure. This footage is about a month or two old now, ladies and gentlemen. It's it's the downsides of recording footage months and months in advance. Although I'm doing a good job in my Jack 2 playthrough, if I do say so myself, despite the fact I recorded that about a year ago, but this is beside the point. Anyway, there we go, destroy the statue, and now basically we can access the exit, so yay, I guess. Now, you might see that panel at the center of the room. Does that open up? Yes, it does. How does it open up? I don't remember. I know I do open it up later on in this part, though, because we have to backtrack through that area, ladies and gentlemen, so yeah. That's probably why I'm not a big fan of this mission so much, because there is a lot of backtracking. You need to solve the mission, so, you know, you need to figure out what you're meant to do and backtrack to the next area and so on and so forth. But what you're meant to do by here is pick up the bridge, the door will unlock, allowing us to return. Yay! Riveting gameplay! This is one of those instances where I kind of... Oh, the door just opens up on its own, alright. But this is one of those instances where I honestly think it would probably be best if they just warped you. You know, they warped you back to the central area just to make it a lot less tedious and a lot quicker. But unfortunately, the game does not warp you back, and you have to manually walk. And let's face it, that, ladies and gentlemen, is a bit of a pain. It isn't that far a walk, but it is just annoying having to backtrack, but... Yes, that was an invisible mook. Are they meant to be invisible? Well, some of them are, but the flying ones I don't think are, so I'm just gonna go off on a whim now and say the guys that are invisible but flying are a glitch. I could be wrong, but that's what I think. And Jesus Christ, destruction! Yay! Oh, that's how I love this. That's what I love about this game, just the destruction. I'm gonna be honest. Anyway, this room by here is actually pretty good if you're... Well, it's pretty fun if you're into your sniping you know, if you like your sniping tactics like I mentioned before, because you got loads of planets and whatnot in the center of this room. You can pick those planets up and throw them at the enemies, and it's just hilarious seeing a giant, like, a giant model of a planet just sort of boop off someone's head, so boop! Oh, I'm gonna throw a planet at you, and it doesn't seem like it makes an impact at all, because the thing looks like it's made out of helium, but I don't know, it's interesting. Yes! Die, mindless architecture! So uncivilized. Then again, I am using a more civilized weapon for, well, you know, a more elegant weapon for a civilized time, I suppose. So it makes sense to say that. But, yeah, this room... This is another room that gave me a lot of trouble in my initial playthrough of the game, because... Look at the bullets that are getting spammed at you. It's like a bloody bullet hell Toho game, you know? And if none of you has ever played a Toho game or bullet hell shooter, well, look it up. I'm not doing an LP of one of those on this channel, because Jesus Christ, I can barely beat games that aren't bullet hells, let alone bullet hell shooters. Like, I've recently been returning to Rise Star, trying to get, you know, just playing that through again, and I'm awful at that game. I was initially going to do an LP of that. I'm now changing my mind, because I'm really not as good at that game as I used to be. But anyway, we're leveling up a lot, aren't we, ladies and gentlemen? And because these DLC missions, because they're considered their own separate save file to the normal missions of the game, and we're already beefed out a lot as the main character, I don't really bother leveling up at all, because honestly it's one mission, it's no point. Once we're done with this mission, this character save's gone, and... No, the beautiful architecture! Yeah, once we're done this mission, this character save's gone, and the next mission will have a completely different save, which will have different stats. I think it's kind of a missed opportunity. They probably could have carried over your main character's stats into this, which... I don't know. By the way, this is the worst designed area in the entire game, and just saying. I'm gonna go through these columns, and you get stuck on every single individual piece of column. The jumping mechanics are not made for traversing environments like this, ladies and gentlemen. It can be quite annoying. But anyway, just do your attack, and eventually, after a couple of Hadoukens, the statue will fall down. Now, my question is, how did they get around that statue when the Jedi Temple was fully functional? Was it like a walkway that went around or something? Because it looks like it's just a straight bridge that used to be there right now, but I don't know. I got nothing. But by breaking that, we're on our way back as well. The game decides to make us a bit more, you know, give us a bit extra padding by throwing these mooks at us. And honestly, I could have done without these mooks. I honestly could have. I would have been quite content if we teleported us to the center of the area. Like, it's one of the worst things you can have in a game. You know, one of the worst things you could possibly have in a game is bad pacing. And this mission by here is an example of bad pacing. That's all I can really say about it. But that's mainly this game in a nutshell is bad pacing. Like I said, I love the game. I've already recommended it in my initial LP, but the pacing is awful. It doesn't really feel like you get much done very quickly, and that really annoys me in games, you know? It's like, let me think of a good example here. What's a good example? Sonic 06, there we go. Because that's an awful game. I'm gonna enjoy that LP when I get to it. Said nobody ever. But, Sonic 06 is one of those games that not only that had... Obviously, it had a very awful plot, but the pacing was awful, and they had things added in for the sake of padding, you know, just to length out the game. And it really, really annoys me when they do that. They add in certain things, not to improve upon the game or add extra features, but no, make the game last longer. It's part of the reason why I sort of despise most of Ubisoft's game attempts. Ugh, I love Far Cry 4, but dear God, is that I can't beat it. I can't get through the game. It bores me before I get a chance to. Pacing, ladies and gentlemen, it's the key of having an excellent game. It's the key of... It's basically the differentiation between a good game and a great game. That's mainly what I'm getting at here. Well, one of the differentiations, because there's loads of hundreds of factors, but I digress. And the Jedi Trials are the equivalent of those games where you have to put a let me try and explain this. Have you ever seen those like metal twirly things where you have to put the metal bar across, and if you touch it, it'll make a beep noise, and you have to restart from the start? Well, that's basically what the Jedi Trials are equivalent to. You just have to get this big blue ball, follow along the line, don't go out of the line, and that's honestly all she wrote. It's easy, but it can take you a good few attempts for one reason. The actual, like, the picture is a bit warped around the giant blue orb they need to pick up, so it has kind of like the effect that a black hole has. Like, if you've ever seen satellite images of a black hole, all the area around the hole itself is actually distorted, and it kind of has that effect going on, so it can make aiming just a bit tricky. You know, just a little bit. But yeah, getting through this challenge is, honestly, it's not that big a deal. Just move the orb. When you're done with the orb, though, however, we got this extra challenge by here, where we need to grab hold of the transparent blue platforms here and move them into the path. Moving them into the path will allow you to jump on the platform and progress further. However, you do have a time limit. Like, these platforms work on Sonic the Hedgehog 1 platform. Go me. That was just props for that. These platforms work on what I like to call Sonic the Hedgehog 1 platform physics, where, you know those platforms like in Green Hill Zone where you walk on and some of them collapse? It's essentially that. And what you'll find is, if you take too long, then needless to say, you're going into a pit. And going into a pit in this game is no good. And that's just bull game. Bull, I claim. But, yeah, just drag the platforms into the sort of... It's like a mist, really. You know where to drag the platforms because it's like a misty path. So just drag them into the mist, jump on the platforms, and move to the next one, and go as quick as possible. It's a neat little puzzle, I guess. It's a nice change, but... honestly, I'd prefer something a bit more skill-focused as opposed to brain-focused, because that's usually how I play most of my games. I'm not the smartest tool in the shed, ladies and gentlemen. You should know that about me by now. I'm not very good with that sort of thing. Even though that was pathetically easy and required no thoughts whatsoever, but I digress. Anyway, Sith Warrior, and... gee, I wonder who this is meant to be. Of course, we know exactly who this is meant to be because, well, we played the first DLC mission, you know? We've seen the cutscenes and stuff where we get first unveiled to the Sith Warrior, but, yeah, what he basically does is he transforms into a number of characters. Now, when he transforms into this guy, the Jedi robe guy here, and I only I actually only figured this out after this fight, so it kind of annoyed me when I was fighting him. If you attack him when he's in the Jedi form, what will happen is you will get hurt if you attack him. So what you need to do is wait for him to transform back into the Sith form and then attack him. Otherwise, you will lose your health and he will beat you. And for the most part, it's just a generic boss fight. From that's all I can really say about him. However, every now and then he will try and warp your controls. When he warps your controls, obviously you need to relearn the controls temporarily, which can be a bit of a nightmare. But yeah, quick time event away, and phase 1 of the boss is actually done. Now, like it says, well, I didn't say anything about this, but this is a multi-tiered boss fight, as the Luke Skywalker boss fight was in the previous part, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah. But anyway, by here, just deal with these rock boulders the same way you saw the same way you dealt with the things that Darth Vader threw at you in his boss fight. It's really the same sort of deal. Honestly, this boss is not that hard, although be careful, because with these boulders that he does throw, as you can clearly see, crumbles a platform. After a certain amount of time, if you aren't careful, the platform will crumble entirely and you will fall. Now, I can't remember if falling is instant death or not, but I like to think not. Well, when I say instant death, I mean when he destroys the platforms, because if you fall off the platform right now, you'll just be teleported to the center of the platform again, giving you another shot. So this is why I'm not entirely sure, because he just destroys the platform anyway, so I assume that if you fell off, you just go to this next sequence, but I don't know. But yeah, there's nothing more annoying than when he reverses your controls. This is one of the worst things I hate about boss fights in any game that have this feature, when the bosses warp your controls, because, well, good luck figuring out your buttons again, because up is down and down is up, then left is left and right is diagonal or some crap like that. Just hitting him hurts, you know. But yeah, we're almost done with the Dark Apprentice here. The main problem I have with him now is, like I said, when he transforms into his Jedi form, he will steal health from you. So, don't do this, you moron! Oh dear. I would have beat this boss in one phase too if it went for that meddling super form. Like, look at my health. I am literally on... Well, now I'm dead. But after a couple of attempts later, I did manage to figure out, oh, don't hit the Jedi, and... Well, yes, did I? I can't remember. All I know is you're not meant to hit the Jedi. But, yeah, we're almost done with this mission, ladies and gentlemen. It's not bad by any means. It's not, but it's... It could have been a better DLC, I think they sort of just cheaped out with it. That's why I kind of think this was just a cut content from the final game and they just sort of added as DLC at a later time, but I could be kind of wrong with that.
Escape me. Are you there? Did you find what you were looking for?
Whatever was here, it's gone now. There's nothing left.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is the second DLC mission of the game. So thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Don't be sheepish, people. And when we return next time, we'll start off the final DLC mission. So yeah, like I said, don't be sheepish, people. Hope you all enjoyed. And I'll catch you all next time. Bye!